Good evening, everyone, and welcome to our regular meeting of Council. I'll start with the land acknowledgement. We acknowledge that we live, work, and gather on the traditional and unceded territory of the Algonquin people, specifically the Temiskaming First Nation. We recognize the presence of the Temiskaming First Nation in our community since time immemorial and honor their long history of welcoming many nations to this beautiful territory and uphold and uplift their voice and values. Call the meeting to order. Roll call, please.
Good evening, Your Worship. All members are present. Thank you.
Brings us to item 3, review of revisions or deletions to the agenda. Seeing none. Takes us to item 4, approval of the agenda. I do have a resolution in front of me. Be it resolved that City Council approves the agenda as printed. Can I get a mover, please? It's Councillor Graydon. Second by Councillor Wayland. Discussion. All in favor? And that motion is carried. Is there any disclosure of pecuniary interest in general nature? Seeing none. We don't have any public meetings pursuant to the Planning Act, Municipal Act, and other statutes. Takes us to item 7, review and adoption of council minutes. I do have a resolution in front of me. Be it resolved that City Council approves the following minutes as printed. A, the regular council meeting held on April the 15th, 2025. B, the committee of the whole meeting held on April the 29th, 2025. And C, the special council meeting held on April the 29th, 2025. Can I get a mover, please? It's Councillor Dawson, seconded by Councillor Wilson. Discussion? All in favor? And that motion is carried. Takes us to item 8, presentations. And we have John Clifford here, Senior Project Manager, Social Impact and Engagement Lead for ABO Energy. And he's going to give us a presentation on the wind farm development plan for May of 2025. John, it's all yours, and welcome.
Hi, thank you. Can everyone hear me okay? Thank you for your time. My name is John Clifford. I am a project manager with ABO Energy, and I'm here to talk about a wind farm proposal we're looking to build within the city of Temiskaming Shores. I'll be touching briefly just on our company, the energy procurement that brings me here today, and some details on the proposed project. ABO Energy is a German company founded in Wiesbaden, which is a small city 45 minutes west of Frankfurt, active in 16 countries around the world. They currently employ around 1,400 employees. The core business is to develop, operate wind, solar, battery storage, and green hydrogen projects around the world. ABO Canada has been active since 2016. Head office is located in Calgary, and we've since opened up offices in Halifax, St. John's, and most recently in Toronto, where I am coming from today. The Independent Electrical System Operator, and the reason I'm here today, has announced a new procurement. I have a little slide here about information about the organization, as they're often confused with Hydro One, or their duties are. I won't go into too much right now, but happy to answer questions about the organization to the best of my ability. But what I would like to talk about is the procurement process that they have recently announced. So the ISO has launched long-term 2 request for proposal. They're looking to procure 5,000 megawatts of new generation, along with 1,600 megawatts of capacity over the next 4 years. They're taking a cadenced approach, which means that there'll be a window of opportunity for developers to submit into the RFP once a year. The first window is anticipated October of this year, but it is still technically in draft. So those dates could change. One thing I'd like to emphasize is that this procurement is technology agnostic. It is not a renewable procurement. They're not looking for wind or solar. They're inviting all technology types into the procurement. There are going to be some requirements associated with the RFP. Primary amongst those is municipal support. All renewable projects must have municipal support in order to submit for the RFP. In addition, if any project is located on agricultural land, they'll be required to conduct an agricultural impact assessment and to have that submitted with the RFP. There are other restrictions and rules on ownership as well as proponent experience. And there are also criteria points available for the proponent to achieve. Those criteria points are related to First Nation participation, as well as siting a project in Northern Ontario and on non-agricultural land. A little bit more about the municipal consent resolution, and that's the primary reason I'm before you today, is that in order for an energy developer to submit a project into the LT2 RFP, they must submit a prescribed form, evidence of municipal support. The form we're seeking from the municipality is specific to our project. There is a blanket resolution the municipality could choose to fill out, but that is not what I'm looking for today. It's more specific to this project. While the form is prescribed by the ISO, how it's achieved is up to the municipality. We hope to work with the City of Temiskaming Shores to build a positive relationship in the hopes of achieving community and municipal support for our project. So a little bit of details about what we're looking at. So generally we're looking at, when we're greenfielding a project, that is the infancy of the project, we're looking at four different things. Primarily wind resources, of course, in the case of a wind project. To support that, we have public data, but as well we're going to be doing our own wind testing. We need connection, so we need to be in a close proximity to hydro wires or our transmission corridors, and there needs to be capacity on those transmission lines as well. We need land. Primarily, we lease our land from private landowners, and that would be in this case here. And generally, we're looking for land that's somewhat easily accessible and has decent road access. And finally, we're looking at the community. We want to build projects that give to and are accepted by the community. So some high-level details of what we're proposing. We're looking at a project that is between 100 and 150 megawatts. For reference, that would be in the vicinity of 20 wind turbines, each capable of producing up to 6 or 7 megawatts. Most of the project will be located within the city borders of Temiskaming Shores. There is a possibility some of it will be in the neighboring municipalities as well. We have signed options with landowners. Most of the project will be located on private land, including the electrical infrastructure. However, there is a possibility some of that electrical infrastructure will need to go in the municipal right-of-way, which would require city approval, specifically the buried cables. The connection point would be southwest of New Liskeard on the 230 kV line that runs north-southwest of the city. One thing I'd like to just mention too is that there is congestion in this general area, not just on this line and into the city, but in this little pocket in northeastern Ontario. What that means is that any proponent submitting and being awarded a contract would likely take up most of that capacity, making it a little bit more difficult for other projects to connect, at least in the short term until there are additional upgrades to the system. And for this project, we are hoping to submit for the Window 1 in October 2025. So what I have here is what I deem the zone of investigation. It isn't a specific siting map. It's not an indication of where our turbines will be going, but the maximum area that we're evaluating for impacts. This is the very early stages, and while we've signed land, we won't necessarily use all that land. And as we go through the development process, this area will be narrowed down, and we'll share information as it becomes available. Due to the process, the development process, we won't have the exact turbine layout available. That would require full environmental and acoustic assessment to be completed, and those reports wouldn't be completed unless the project was awarded a contract in a successful RFP submission. While not required, we will be conducting some preliminary environmental assessment work. So we'll be doing an environmental records review. There will be a site assessment. We'll have biologists out in the field. In addition, we're planning to do a cultural heritage and archaeological assessment reports as well. This would be in addition to the required agriculture impact assessment that would be for the RFP. We're also open to discussions about other reports based on community and municipal feedback. There are a number of other reports that will be required to be completed, but the majority of those would be post-RFP, so I won't touch on those for now, but happy to answer questions later. We consider community engagement and consultation a top priority. We recognize that this project will have impacts on the people who live closest to it. We believe that First Nation communities in proximity to our projects should receive preferential attention and access to business employment opportunities. It is our intent to maximize economic benefits for these groups and promote long-term economic growth through access to goods and service contracts, capacity training, and employment. In consideration of that, ABO intends to create a community benefit fund generated from revenue from the project. The scope of the benefits will still be discussed with the municipality and would be relative to the project size as well as proportion to the project lands hosted by each municipality. In addition, we would also have a second benefit that we're proposing for neighbors that would be located near the project but not directly participating in acknowledgement of the additional impacts that may come to those landowners. There would be a significant tax revenue generated from the project. How that would be calculated would to be discussed with the municipality, as well as the employment benefits I've mentioned. This project does support sustainable initiatives. We conservatively estimate that the project will generate 275,000 megawatts of clean, renewable energy a year. That's equivalent consumption of 29,000 homes in Ontario. At this moment, we're at the development, evaluation, and consultation stage. Should the municipality approve our project, we would move forward to the RFP submission, the first window being in October of this year. That would take several months to conclude. Should we're successful, we would then go into the permitting and connection agreement stage. That would take anywhere of 12 to 18 months, most likely 18 months and maybe a little longer than that. If we get our final permit sign off from the Ministry of Environment, we would then go into construction, which would be 12 to 18 months. All told, from the moment a LT2 RFP is awarded, it would be about 4 years for commercial operation, or roughly 2030. April 2030 is when the project would need to be in service. I've carried a fair bit of details here, and I realize that there may be a lot of other questions, but I anticipate this is really only the second step, the first being my previous meeting with municipal staff. But I believe there will be an opportunity to exchange a lot of information and discuss additional benefits. As well, for community consultation, we are looking at holding an open house later this summer, likely looking at the end of July, early August. That concludes my presentation. I did have my information included here along with my associate Dave, who couldn't make it today. Please let me know if you have any questions, and I'm happy to take comments now. Thank you for your time.
Thanks for your presentation, John. Does anybody have any questions for John? Councillor Wilson?
Yeah, thank you. Thanks, John. Thanks for the presentation. Do you have other projects at this stage in Northern Ontario right now?
This would be the most advanced project. Yes, we are developing and signing land in other parts of Ontario, but I would say that this is, again, the most advanced.
And is this specifically in Northern Ontario is what I was wondering, other parts of the north, yeah?
Yes, we are actively developing in other parts of Northern Ontario, all across the province, but yes, we have other projects, primarily wind, that we're looking at in other places in Northern Ontario.
Thanks.
Councillor Graydon.
Sorry. Thanks, John. I have a couple questions. Is the turbines themselves, are they your product? Is your company, like, are you actually using your own product for this, or is it?
No, we're not turbine manufacturers, so those be procured from a specific company that makes them.
And are you the contract? Do you subcontract this out, the actual construction, or is that your core business, the construction part of it?
That would be contracted out.
Okay.
Typically, ABO, it depends on the market. They would do a little differently in Europe than here, but in Canada, we would look for other investors to take on the construction and help fund us through that and into the operation of the facility.
Okay.
But that would be contracted out.
And I just was looking at, what you've done in Canada. And I could be wrong, like you've got stuff under development. Have you seen anything right all the way through to completion, like in Canada yet?
Yes, so in Alberta, where the company first started out in Canada, they built the largest wind farm, and it just reached operation 2 weeks ago.
Okay.
In that case, like in future cases, we had someone come on and take on the majority of the actual final construction part of it, but that has been seen to completion. There are other projects on the East Coast that aren't quite at the same point, more mature than what we're doing here in Ontario, but have not been completed.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Whalen.
Yeah, thanks, John. A couple of questions anyway. So this is on private land, but ABO still owns the windmill itself. So at end of life, you would be responsible for the takedown, not the landowner.
Yes, as part of our lease agreement, we have obligations to decommission the facility. Typically, and in this case, there is an escrow or a blocked account that's set up during the project lifetime, and that money is funded and set aside to decommission the project should something happen to the operator before the end of the life. But yeah, there are obligations to decommission the facility.
Okay. The other question is with regards to the use of agricultural land. I mean, I'm not a proponent, I'm not in favor of that, but the reality is that's the easiest place to put them up. But you talk about significant tax revenue for the municipality. So are you going to rezone the farmland that you're using? Because it's currently taxed at, 25% of the assessed value. It's not at full taxation, so...
Yeah, so
are we going to farmland taxation or windmill taxation?
So typically what would happen is that they would get rezoned as industrial and they'd be taxed at an industrial rate. That's how it's usually done, but that is actually partly up to the municipality and part of the conversation we'd have with the municipality on the zoning, but that is typically what happens to this. So the footprint that the project is on gets assessed at industrial. The actual value, how it's assessed, I'm not 100% sure. In the past, the tax have been the value of the project has been based on the installed megawatts and was fixed. That is no longer the case. I think that was in previous procurements 10, 12 years ago. That was some of the discourse that they were undervalued, and therefore the revenue wasn't as substantial as municipalities were hoping. I believe it was $20,000 a megawatt is what the value they were assessed at in previous procurement, but that does not apply now, but that's something I'd have to look into to get you more details.
Okay, I meet with IESO quite often, but I think the landowner's owner, the farmer, has to realize that their land is going to go from 25% taxation of assessed value to 100% of industrial taxation. So I'm just wondering, How's that make sense mathematically?
So I spent a few years in operations, so I got to see tax assessments with landowners a fair bit, and essentially what happened is there was an additional line on it. They'd have residential, they'd have a farm line, and then they'd have an additional one for industrial. And the industrial was taxed just against the project. The majority of their land was still taxed at an agricultural rate. So I don't think it's an either-or situation. I think it's generally, and I say this as there were 5 different municipalities I had facilities in, and so each one of them had, the assessment was roughly done the same way.
Okay. I'm not 100% clear, but I think I got it. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? Councillor Dawson?
Yes, thanks, John. My question is, with the extra electricity going into our grid, is there going to be any benefit to the local users here? Any reduced rates for electricity, or where is this produced electricity going to end up going? I've heard rumors it's going to be sold to the states, but where does that electricity go that you're going to be putting into the grid?
So that's about a 2-hour answer I could give you, so I'll try my best to answer that. The electricity doesn't necessarily go straight to the states. There are sharing agreements with neighboring states as well as neighboring provinces. How those are sent off are up to the ISO. I'm not going to try to pretend I can't understand how that works. However, Ontario is going to have a shortage of electricity due to the electrification of the grid, introduction of cars, data centers. There's a huge demand for electricity, and this is the first time in nearly 9 years that they're making new procurements. So this electricity will go to users in Ontario. As far as the local community, it would be sort of equivalent of a river. Some of that makes its way in a tributary and it goes locally. Others gets transmitted further downstream. So the electricity would be, from this facility this size, would be connected to the transmission lines, not to the distribution. A distribution would be more localized, but the transmission would feed elsewhere in the province, and some of it would end up locally. As far as pricing, it's a competitive process. So whoever ends up winning these tenders will be the most competitively priced project. So if what we're proposing to build, it isn't competitively priced, it won't win the tender.
Thank you. Any other questions, comments? No? Well, John, thanks for your presentation. I know you're looking at receiving something back and having the project move forward by October.
Yes, I mean, there are multiple windows, as I've said, but it's our goal to see if we can get something together for this October. That date is tentative because, again, the ISO schedule is in draft form still. But we're hoping to get some sort of signal from the municipality and eventually support before that submission in October. And as far as timing of how we get there, if we get there, that's, will be part of the ongoing discussion.
Okay. Yeah, thank you. And I do have a question that goes with that. When you're looking at community engagement and having open public sessions, would you be doing that before you're expecting the municipal support, or is that something that comes afterwards?
Yes, thank you. So with the schedule we're looking at is we're hoping to be able to complete some of our reports by late spring to have an opportunity to present them in an open house in late July, August, around there. And the intention would be to gain information and have that part of the submission to the municipality to incorporate into your decision making. Okay. So yes, we're planning to have that open house before we expect the municipality to make a decision.
Awesome. Thanks so much. And I'm sure we'll be getting a report, internally from our staff as well. So thanks so much for your presentation, and looking forward to further conversations.
Okay. Thank you very much for your time.
You're welcome. Have a great evening. Next is item 9, correspondence. So 9A from Carolyn Lance, Council Services Coordinator for the Town of Georgina, and that was for a resolution of support regarding salt management that was received for information. B, from Dave Berries, the Deputy Mayor for the town of Tillsonburg. Read the Tillsonburg's resolution regarding strong mayor powers. And we do have presented under new business for consideration a resolution. C, from the Honorable Rob Flack, the Minister of Municipal Affairs and Housing. Read the expanded strong mayor powers as of May the 1st that was received for information. Item D, from Honorable Rob Flack, the Minister of Municipal Affairs and Housing. Read Bill 17, Protect Ontario by Building Faster and Smarter Act 2025, and that was received for information. Item E, from Mr. Paul Donnell, a resident. Read the request to purchase municipal land, and that's been referred to the clerk to process in accordance with the city's disposition of land bylaw number 2015-160. Item F, from the Federation of Northern Ontario Municipalities. Read the FNOM annual meeting resolutions from the May 5th, 2025 annual general meeting that was received for information. I do have a resolution in front of me. Be it resolved that Council for the City of Temiskaming Shores agrees to deal with communication items 10A through 10F in accordance with the agenda of references. Can I get a mover, please? It's Councillor Graydon. Second by Councillor Wayland. Discussion. Councillor Peltier-Levin.
If we could bring back item A, please, about the road salt and lake health.
Okay, thank you. Anything else? So we do have a resolution in front of us. All in favor? And that motion is carried. It takes us to item 10, Committees of Council, Community and Regional. I do have a resolution in front of me. Be it resolved that the following minutes be accepted for information. A, the minutes from the District of Temiskaming Social Services Administration Board meeting held on March the 19th, 2025. B, the minutes from the Temiskaming Shores Public Library Board meeting held on March the 26th, 2025. And C, the minutes from the Northeastern Health Unit Board of Health meetings held on February the 27th, 2025 and on April the 3rd, 2025. Can I get a mover, please? It's Councillor Dawson. Seconded by Councillor Ducharme. Discussion? All in favor? And that motion is carried. Takes us to item 11, reports by members of council. I'll start with Councillor Wilson.
Thank you, Mayor. I won't spend a lot of time on this. My report's in the package. So just wanted to FNOM excellent conference. Congratulations to Councillor Whalen, his board, and his staff, Mac Bain in particular, who put together such a great conference. It was just a great opportunity to learn a whole bunch of stuff, but also to network and you know, I think those of us who were there really enjoyed it. There were a lot of really excellent sessions. I've listed the ones that I was able to attend, and you know, talking about AI, the power of AI, which I completely don't understand at all, but I understand a little bit better now. So, although I am able to apparently download a transit app now, so I'm the expert at that. Even though I got heck from Councillor Ducharme about that. So, session on Indigenous cultural mindfulness. George Cucci was a really excellent presentation. Really enjoyed that, and just some really important, you know, Indigenous teachings, and the discussions around that was really excellent. It was interesting too, talking about you know, road safety came up a number of times at the conference, and the Nuclear Waste Management Ontario had their presentation about the transportation of nuclear waste, and that was a very interesting session as well. And you know, a lot of the discussion about, okay, you know, the safety of the roads is important, and now becomes even more important because in 20 years we're going to start moving you know, nuclear waste up and down our highways, both 11 and 17 most likely. Other sessions, the new Northeastern Public Health, which Mayor LaFerrier and I are on the board. Dr. Leanne Catton from Northeastern Public Health discussed partnering with healthy communities in the north. That was very good. Another session on financial crisis and an excellent speaker, Oscar Poloni from KPMG, talking about what can go wrong with a municipality, and he had a really excellent session. We had sessions on climate change and the importance of preparing our communities for that from Jessica Jeremek from Intact Public Entities, and Brent Kolowski. That was also an excellent one, Community Safety and Wellbeing Plan. He's the coordinator of the City of North Bay, and there were some really interesting ideas coming out of that that I think we can perhaps learn from as well. Then there were some regular updates from AMO and Ontario Northland and the Northlander MPAC, some updates from there as well as some other sessions on expanding nuclear, not nuclear, but hydro generation in Ontario, as we're talking about energy, and tourism, a presentation, and then the bear pit with the ministers. That was an excellent session. Councillor Whalen led that, and there was numerous topics that are listed in my report, and there were some good answers. And I thought one interesting answer was they said the upcoming provincial budget would provide good news for the North. That came out a few times from ministers, and I've had a little look at the budget. There's some things there, but it wasn't kind of what we were thinking was going to come out of but we'll see. So anyway, excellent conference. Just again, thanks to Phenom for putting it together, and that's my report on Phenom. Yeah.
Thanks, Councillor Wilson. Any other comments? Councillor Whalen?
Yeah, just quickly for council's benefits, they did have a delegation with the Minister of Environment, Conservation, Parks. One of the resolutions at the Phenom Conference was dealing with ICI, and it was supported by every municipality in the room. So, at least we're keeping the process alive, so fingers crossed. The only other thing I'll report on is we have a walkabout tomorrow with the Rock on Canada Day Committee just to finalize some issues and, the signage and where exactly the road stops are going to be in that. But it's coming together a little over a month away. So just thank you to staff for, it's not been an easy process since we're starting the whole thing over again, but so thank you for everybody's patience as we put this together.
Thanks, Councillor Whalen. Anybody else? Councillor Peltier-Leming.
I had a few opportunities to participate in some local events lately, and so I was just going to report, maybe just to let our residents and the public know. A number of us actually were there at the Municipal Road Safety Forum that was hosted by the Road Safety Coalition and the Safety and Wellbeing, Temiskaming Safety and Wellbeing. So it was a great session. So Temiskaming Shores had a chance to present with Mitch and Councillor Wilson for the Vision Zero in Temiskaming Shores. We had other presentations on off-road safety, active school travel, micro-mobility devices, top traffic concerns, and we had a chance in the afternoon to brainstorm some solutions. It was well attended by a bunch of municipalities and townships from the area, so that was really good. Later there was the Building Ties event that we maybe have mentioned, but it was the theme was the health of Lake Temiskaming as it pertains to our strategic plan, so that was also well put together by local partners. It's an intercultural event. So we had presentations about water walkers and the water ceremony by the Temiskaming First Nations. The Organisme du Bassin Versant du Temiskaming was there, as well as the Ottawa River Keepers. So they talked, we learned more about their mandates and their activities and some opportunities with them. Also invasive species and the importance of washing the boats. and, in all of that, some role, like some opportunities for municipalities as well so I'm looking forward to see what kind of next steps come out of that. And lastly, also relating to our strategic plan, ACFO organized a consultation for the Francophone community. So we had like individuals and also representatives from various groups. And that's about one of our orientations or priorities with the strat plan, to have more like policies that are more reflective of various cultures and languages in Temiskaming Shores. And so there was good participation. Sandra was there with the mayor as well, and we're expecting a report from the evening. So it was well organized in terms of what are the different what's going well and what where are opportunities, challenges, things like that. So I expect we'll have something come, to be more specific about just to wrap up everything that was said and expectations for solutions and projects. So yeah, it's been busy and it's been really interesting. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Pelcher-Living, and just as a follow-up to that point, they have reached out and for Sandy and I to sit down, and they're going to share, what came out of that meeting. So, absolutely, thank you for that. Any last comments? No. Okay, thank you. Takes us to item 12, notice of motions. Seeing none, we'll move on to item 13, new business. 13A, a resolution of support from the town of Tilsonbury, and that was related to the strong mayor powers. I do have a resolution in front of me. Whereas Council for the town of Tilsonburg adopted a resolution regarding strong mayor powers at their regular meeting on April the 14th, 2025. And whereas the Ontario government has expanded strong mayor powers to 170 additional municipalities under the proposed legislation on May the 1st, 2025, which grants mayors in these municipalities more authority, particularly concerning the control of municipal budgets, planning, and operational decisions. And whereas this has raised significant concerns regarding the centralization of power, erosion of local democracy, reduced accountability, and the potential for the abuse of power. And whereas the expansion of strong mayor powers undermines the collaborative nature of municipal governance and diminishes the role of elected municipal councillors in representing the diverse interests of community. And whereas concerns have been raised about the negative impacts on public trust, democratic participation, and municipal decision-making processes if mayors are given the ability to bypass council decisions without adequate consultation or oversight. Be it resolved, the Council of the City of Temiskaming Shores hereby supports the town of Tilsonburg in their opposition, and further, 1, does not support the strong mayor powers as currently outlined. 2, supports the specific powers to mayors as it pertains to identifiable decisions regarding housing, development, infrastructure, and transit to provide tools that reduce obstacles that can stand in the way of new housing and infrastructure developments. 3, strongly suggests that free rein of decision-making regarding hiring, firing committees, and so forth be removed from the proposed authority. 4, strongly suggests that members of the current council were duly elected officials by citizens with the awareness of 1 vote per council member and majority votes are the democratic process. 5, requests that province to review and seek collaborative input from the Association of Municipal Managers, Clerks, and Treasurers of Ontario. And 6, direct staff to forward this resolution to the Honourable Rob Flack, Minister of Municipal Affairs and Housing, the Honourable Doug Ford, Premier of Ontario, John Van Toff, MPP, Temiskaming Cochrane, the Association of Municipalities of Ontario, the Association of Municipal Managers, Clerks, and Treasurers of Ontario, and the Rural Ontario Municipal Association. Can I get a mover, please? Thanks, Councillor Dawson. Second by Councillor Wilson. Discussion. I just wanted to make a couple of comments, and I think this really does support the conversations we had, at our last meeting when the first comments came through with the strong mayor powers, and I totally support this resolution. And I think, further to this resolution, we've had discussions internally here with staff, and we are going to be working on a further recommendation that's going to be coming back, and more where I can delegate back, powers to make sure that it's us as a team, sitting around the table that are going to be making decisions. I think, number one, when we look at the challenge to find critical resources, to support, our city team, these things really defeat and make it challenging, I think, for staff in a lot of different communities. So the more we can make it simpler and easier in how we can support staff, I think, definitely is a positive movement. Two, when I look at us as council, I think there's one staff member that we should be having conversations with, and we hire and fire the one individual, which is the city manager. The rest of the resources report through to the city manager, and I think having those responsibilities and those decisions made where they belong, I think is critically important. So just my thoughts. Any other comments? Okay, we do have a resolution in front of us. All in favor? And that motion is carried. Next, item B, the proclamation, biannual proclamation schedule. And I do have a resolution in front of me. Whereas at the February 6th, 2024 Committee of the Whole meeting, Council approved the development of a biannual proclamation schedule. Be it resolved that Council for the City of Temiskaming Shores hereby proclaims the following days in the City of Temiskaming Shores: National Drowning Prevention Week, July 20th to the 26th, 2025. International Overdose Awareness Day, August the 31st, 2025. Terry Fox Run, September the 14th, 2025. Franco-Ontarian Day, September the 25th, 2025. National Day for Truth and Reconciliation and Orange Shirt Day, September 30th, 2025. Fire Prevention Week, October 5th to the 11th, 2025. Local Government Week, third week in October. Child Care Worker and Early Childhood Educator Day, October the 21st, 2025. Dress Purple for Children Welfare Agencies, last Friday in October. Fall Prevention Month, November 2025. Indigenous Veterans Day, November the 8th, 2025. Veterans Week, November 5th to the 11th, 2025. Elimination of Violence Against Women, November 25th, 2025. And further, the Council of the City of Temiskaming Shores respectfully acknowledges the importance of honoring these holidays in the City of Temiskaming Shores. Canada Day on July the 1st, 2025. Civic Holiday, August the 4th, 2025. Labor Day, September the 1st, 2025. Thanksgiving Day, October the 13th, 2025. Remembrance Day on November the 11th, 2025. Christmas Day, December 25th, 2025. And Boxing Day on December 26th, 2025. Can I get a mover, please? Thanks, Councillor Grayton. Seconded by Councillor Pelletier-Living. Discussion? All in favor? That motion is carried. Next, item C, memo number 016-2025-CS. A deeming bylaw for 468 Helmer Pedersen Drive and 222 Cosman Crescent. I do have a resolution in front of me, whereas the owner of 468 Helmer Pedersen Drive and 222 Cosman Crescent in New Liskeard would like to merge lots on title through the adoption of a deeming bylaw in compliance with the Planning Act to create one property with one roll number. And whereas the owners have acknowledged that registration of the pending deeming bylaw on title will be at their expense. Now, therefore, be it resolved that Council for the City of Temiskaming Shores hereby directs staff to prepare the necessary bylaw to deem 468 Helmer Pedersen Drive and 222 Cosman Crescent, Plan M329T, Lot 4, Parcel 22046 SST, and Plan 54M365, Lot 25, to no longer be lots on a plan of subdivision. And further, that Council hereby directs staff to prepare the necessary deeming bylaw for consideration at the May 20th, 2025 regular council meeting. Can I get a mover, please? It's Councillor Wayland, seconded by Councillor Pelche-Leving. Discussion? All in favor? And that motion is carried. Takes us to item D, Administrative Report CS-023-2025, Zoning Bylaw Amendment for 583381 West Road. I do have a resolution in front of me. Be it resolved that Council for the City of Temiskaming Shores acknowledges receipt of memo number 023-2025-CS. The Council agrees to amend the provisions of the City of Temiskaming Shores zoning bylaw number 2017-154 to permit the zone change from rural residential R1H2 to rural residential R1H2-1 for 583381 West Road, and that Council directs staff to prepare the necessary bylaw to amend the city's zoning bylaw number 2017-154 for consideration at the May 20th, 2025 regular council meeting. Can I get a mover, please? Councillor Wilson, seconded by Councillor Dawson. Discussion? All in favor? And that motion is carried. Takes us to item E, Administrative Report RS-009-2025, the EV Charger RFP Award. I do have a resolution in front of me. Be it resolved that Council for the City of Temiskaming Shores acknowledges receipt of Administrative Report RS-009-2025, and that Council directs staff to prepare the necessary bylaw to enter into an agreement with Bracebridge Generation Limited for the provision of a dual-head 120 kilowatt DCFC EV charger for consideration at the May 20th, 2025 regular council meeting. And can I get a mover, please? Thanks, Councillor Dawson. Seconded by Councillor Wilson. Discussion? All in favor? That motion is carried. Takes us to item F, Administrative Report RS-010-2025, the skate sharpener lease extension. I do have a resolution in front of me. Be it resolved that Council for the City of Temiskaming Shores acknowledges receipt of Administrative Report RS-010-2025, and that Council directs staff to prepare the necessary bylaw to enter into an agreement with Zubik Skills Limited for use of the Don Shepherdson Memorial Arena skate sharpening room from September the 1st, 2025 to August 30th, 2027 for consideration at the May 20th, 2025 regular council meeting. Can I get a mover, please? Thanks, Councillor Graydon. Second by Councillor Pelche-Leving. Discussion? All in favor? The motion is carried. Takes us to item 14, bylaws. I do have a resolution in front of me. Be it resolved that A, bylaw number 2025-050, being a bylaw to enter into a municipal transient accommodation tax financial accountability and services agreement with the Temiskaming Shores Development Corporation. B, bylaw number 2025-051, being a bylaw to adopt an asset management plan, phase 3 for the City of Temiskaming Shores. And this repeals the previous plans. C, bylaw number 2025-052, being a bylaw to enter into an agreement with GFL Environmental Services, Inc. for the provisions of collection and disposal services for the household hazardous waste collection event on June the 7th, 2025. D, bylaw number 2025-053, being a bylaw to enter into an agreement with the Township of James for the acceptance and disposal of household hazardous waste at the City of Temiskaming Shores annual collection event. E, bylaw number 2025-054, being a bylaw to rename Diamond Field B to the Isaac Walker DuPont Memorial Ball Field. F, bylaw number 2025-055, being a bylaw to appoint an assistant drainage superintendent pursuant to the Drainage Act, RSO L990, and that's Jeremy Latour. G, bylaw number 2025-056, being a bylaw to authorize the execution of a strategic alliance agreement between 1748527 Ontario Limited, operating as New Lister Bikers Reunion Corporation in the City of Temiskaming Shores. H, bylaw number 2025-057, being a bylaw to enact a zoning bylaw amendment to rezone a portion of S, half of Lot 7, Concession 6, Buck Township, roll number 5418-030-011-01800 from rural H1 to general industrial M1 in the City of Temiskaming Shores, zoning bylaw 2017-154. I, bylaw number 2025-058, being a bylaw to amend bylaw number 2025-005 to adopt the City of Temiskaming Shores community-based strategic plan. J, bylaw number 2025-059, being a bylaw to designate any plan of subdivision or part thereof that has been registered for 8 years or more, which shall be deemed as not a registered plan of subdivision, 468 Helmer Pedersen Drive and 222 Cosman Crescent. K, bylaw number 2025-060, being a bylaw to enact a zoning bylaw amendment to rezone 583381 West Road from rural residential H2 to rural residential H2-1 to allow for a home occupation as a permanent use in the City of Temiskaming Shores, zoning bylaw 2017-154. L, bylaw number 2025-061, being a bylaw to enter into an agreement with Bracebridge Generation Limited, operating as Lakeland Solutions for the provision of a dual-head 120 kilowatt DC-FC EV charger. And M, bylaw number 2025-062, being a bylaw to enter into a lease agreement with Zubik Skills Limited for use of the skate sharpening room at the Don Shepardson Memorial Arena from September the 1st, 2025 to August the 20th, 2027. Be hereby introduced and given first, second, and third and final reading, be signed by the Mayor and Clerk and the corporate seal affixed thereto. Can I get a mover, please? Councillor Graydon. Second by Councillor Whalen. And thanks for not asking me to repeat those. All in favor? And that motion is carried. Brings us to item 15, schedule of council meetings. A, we have a committee of the whole meeting scheduled for June the 3rd, 2025, starting at 3 p.m. And B, we have a regular council meeting scheduled for June the 17th, 2025, starting at 6 p.m. Takes us to item 16, question and answer. Is there any questions from anybody? Nothing online, nothing here. Love it when a plan comes together. We don't have a closed session. Brings us to 18, confirming bylaw. I do have a resolution in front of me. Be it resolved that bylaw number 2025-063, being a bylaw to confirm certain proceedings of council of the Corporation of the City of Temiskaming Shores for its regular meeting held on May the 20th, 2025, and at its Committee of the Whole and special council meetings held on April 29th, 2025, be hereby introduced and given first, second, and third and final reading, and be signed by the Mayor and Clerk and the corporate seal affixed thereto. Can I get a mover, please? Councillor Dawson, seconded by Councillor Wilson. Discussion? All in favor? That motion is carried. Brings us to item 19, adjournment. I do have a resolution for that as well. Be it resolved, the council hereby adjourns its meeting at 6:55. Can I get a mover, please? No, that's everybody. Councillor Graydon, second by Councillor Wayland. All in favor? And that motion is carried. Thanks, everybody. Have a wonderful evening.